Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So today we got an intake in the mail. So we got all the parts laid out here. They even gave me like a little license plate cover. So yeah, honestly this is a pretty cool kit. I'm gonna get everything out of the little plastic bags and just see what it looks like, make sure we have all the parts, and then we can start actually working on the car. So these are basically all the parts here. We got a bunch of basically rubber or silicone with the metal clamps. We got a line, a bracket. There's 3 pipes, so 1, 2, 3. That's pretty much it. And then of course the filter. Don't mind the boxes. It's for the other project. So yeah, should be relatively simple. I'm gonna get started on it because I want to do it tonight and I want to give you guys a sound test. So without further ado, let's get in the engine bay. So the first step is we need to take off these 17mm bolts. These actually hold on the wiper blades, so we need to take these off to get to the cowl. Fairly simple. Just bend the wiper blades and take them off. And then the weather stripping, it comes next. We need to take the weather stripping off because it's 2 pieces to the cowl, and that helps us to separate them. Normally I just let this sit in the engine bay since the one side is still connected to the squirters. Now there's some 10mm on the metal piece of the cowl. Most of them are stripped out, so I only have a few. And then the wiper motor. Pretty much going to take this out and just set it off to the side. A couple more for the wiper motor back here. Make sure to get your extension. Unplug it and move it over here. Bingo. Now, we're just going to disconnect the battery. Probably don't need to, but it doesn't hurt when you're messing with sensors. And we're going to go ahead and take off these 2 10mm. Tuck down there pretty deep, so get your extensions on there. Before I remove the air box, I'm going to go ahead and take the sensor out. Just a screwdriver here, Phillips head. And it slides right out. Then it's a little blurry here, but there is one hose clamp, Phillips head again. Now there's this breather hose. You just got to use a needle nose plier and then pop this sucker out. Found it was a little easier if you remove this rubber cup. Now we really just need to make room to pull out the air box. Definitely make sure you're not snagging on anything. It is tricky to get this out, just weasel your way. Move that wire. Okay, so now here is the new intake pipe with the installation of the sensor. You could probably put this on either way, but I decided to do it the same as a factory. And I put on the coupler and prematurely put the clamps on. Left some of them loose just so it's easy to move it around, but make sure you put clamps on first so that way you actually can install them. There's a little bit of play that you need to insert into these just to make sure they actually bend the way you need to. Alright guys, so I just want to catch you up real quick. My camera battery died, so I'm going to show you what we did so far. So basically what we have here, I have the top hose clamped. I had to go a little diagonal on this one just because the back, basically I had to get a little extra angle here, and I want to make sure that this is actually clamping onto the pipe. So I've rotated it just a little bit to make this curve. These couplers are doing a lot of work, I must say. They're doing a lot of work to make sure that I can get to this bracket over here. This one was the biggest pain. So to get this guy, this is actually bent a little bit right now because literally that angle I couldn't make it. So as you can see, this pipe comes straight in and then this one comes into this coupler at an angle. I'm gonna get it all as far into the couples as I can and tighten everything down. And then the next step is that we are going to have to take off the front bumper, because the intake is going to come down here. So we kind of need to have access to all this in the front. So we're going to do that as the next step. So now we're going to come into the pipe that meets down here, which is going to be this kind of U-shaped thing. And you can see I have this one mounted already. That's going to go to our air filter as the last side. It's a little bit bigger. And then following this back up, you can see this comes up, which is going to mate with the pipe we just put on. So we'll put another couple here with two clamps, and that should be everything except for we have this mount here, this bolt. Let's go ahead and get access to the front bumper and yeah, finish the install here. All right, moving back to working on the car. We're gonna start by taking off this bumper. So there's the one screw there you saw. Now there's a bunch of clips along the front. I'm just popping these out with a flathead screwdriver. Relatively easy to do. You just pop it open and then slide it out. You actually don't need to take that piece all the way off, how I did here. You can leave it attached to the front bumper and dismount it from the chassis. Now make sure to pull out firmly along the headlight assembly here. It's gonna be loud, big pops, but it will come off. Just be careful with the fog light towards the bottom. There's two more down here. Yes, there are two more. Make sure to look under the bumper to disconnect it from the underguard plastics. And just work your way around, moving over to the passenger side. Same deal. Again, watch the fog light here and fully disconnect. Don't forget to disconnect your fog lights. Yeah, we already went over it. So now I kind of just have to connect it up like this, slide the next hose clamp on, and tighten it all down. And then I'll worry about the bracket after the fact here, so. Yeah, now you just have to weasel your way up in there and align with the coupler from the pipe that we already installed. It has to bend around to the front of the radiator. So just take your time lining it up, try not to scratch up your pipe if possible. I went underneath and pressed it in and tightened the coupler. It's hard to get video of that, so we're kind of moving towards mounting to the side of the radiator. And once that's secure, you can go ahead and install the filter. Same thing, coupler on the end. It's the larger coupler. And put those hose clamps ahead of time and install your filter so the logo's facing out if you care. And just like the rest of the pipes, tighten down these hose clamps. Make sure it's snug. So going back to the top side, there was that breather hose. Since we disconnected that, you still have to route that, but we have some special hose now, and I used an extra hose clamp and just cut it to length. So again, need a nose plier here just to slide it up the hose. Once you have the hose oriented how you want, make sure there's no kinks and tighten down those little clamps. So now time to do the other side. A little bit hard to see here, but all I'm doing is sliding onto that nipple again. And then I'm going to use my own hose clamp here. I do this later. I go back to install it. And those little clips were annoying me because I broke them. So I'm actually just going to cut them off so I can zip tie. Now, same stuff in reverse. Go back and install the metal cowl. Put the windshield wiper motor back on. These are the part numbers for the clips I used, because they usually break off of this plastic piece on the cowl. So I would order some of those ahead of time if you know you're doing this job. Now it's really just about lining up those blue plastic clips so they don't shear off when you press it back into place. So take your time with this. You can see in that shot the blue clip. Just lining up the wiper hose and then snapping the two cowl pieces back together while aligning the blue clips and routing my hose. Reinstall those 17 millimeters. Alright guys, so we did make the change on the intake, but I'll be honest with you, I can't really hear a difference. We don't have any codes, so that's good. But my exhaust is too loud, so I really can't hear much of a difference. Which, whatever. I have the Yonaka catback on the way. So maybe once that exhaust comes in, I can do a little bit of a sound update. But I can try to get a couple shots of the microphone from the front where the actual intake is and see if you can notice a difference. But on the highway, yeah, my exhaust is too loud. That's just what it is. Hopefully the install video helped you if you order the same one from Weaponar. Yeah, I mean, it's good materials, it's good quality. I had to do a little bit of work and finessing to get it to fit, but no codes, and you know, I don't have any temperature measurements before and after, but we'll see at the track day. You know, I think it's going to help just avoid heat soak and keep power even in, you know, a hot track day in July or something like that. So anyway, I'm talking too much. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.